Vocal topic of the week 21. Don't stare at the X. Urgh. Okay. I'm trying to stay peaceful through this one because this is a huge pet peeve of mine. Over the years, I've had students come from, you know, other programs, other places where they're being trained, and they're told, you go into the audition. This is mostly for musical theater kids, but this applies to everybody because it has to do with it when you're performing any vocal music, kind of where should your visual mind be, you know. But in musical theater auditions, they tell them to come in and stand next to the piano, and then when they start performing, stare at the X or stare at the exit sign. You know, just because kids are like, where do I look? What do I do with my eyes? And they say, just stare at the X. And then they sing their whole song like Nosferatu, like a vampire, or like some serial killer stalker, like, you know, whoa, whoa, okay, like, what? What kind of advice is that? That's crazy. So, why is that so crazy? Let's figure that out for a minute. Our job when we go into an audition is to create this realistic situation inside of a pretend environment in front of people. Musical theater is acting, okay, acting inside of singing. So we need to go in and do a monologue with singing, all right? And what that means is you have to go in and visualize all the interior of where your character is, as well as visualize what your character is thinking about. All right, so let's look at that in action. Does it look like these performers, which I think if you guys are musical theater buffs, you are gonna obviously know these people. All right, let's see what their eyes are doing. Okay. Oh, her eyes moved. She's not looking at an exit sign. Oh, or she's not looking at an X, right? She's not looking at the back of the auditorium's exit sign. Oh, well, let's see. Well, maybe that was just her. Let's check Jeremy Jordan. Oh, look at his eyes are moving around. He's even talking about a person and singing to her. And then he moves his eyes as he visualizes other aspects of her. Did you notice that? That's what we should tell people to do for auditions. Let's see what Natalie Weiss. Maybe those two are anomalies. Let's see if her eyes are fixed on the exit sign. Oh, her eyes moved. Oh, maybe there's two exit signs. Uh-oh. No, I guess not. Okay. So why are her eyes moving? Why are any of these people's eyes moving? Here's the deal. It's because of what we're visualizing. It's what you're thinking about. As an actor, when you're doing this song, you know, you're not you singing inside of an audience, or you're not you looking at the people you're auditioning for, the director. No, you have to go and like Matrix. You have to download the visual of the whole scenario that the character you're portraying is in. I mean, like detail. If you can draw a picture of it. Let's say Belle, Beauty and the Beast. This is really easy to visualize. Actually, I'll give you even a better one here. Little Mermaid, Part of Your World. I have the most fun working on this with girls on how to do this visualizing thing. Because Ariel, she's got a really cool place. Look at this stuff, isn't it neat? You know, so wouldn't you think my collection's complete? Wouldn't you think I'm the girl who has everything? And so what we do, we have all of these, I put them down in her cove, and we visualize. I've got gadgets and gizmos. We have to make those two different things. Like, what's your gadget going to be? Well, that's going to be that's going to be an old clock. And then I need a gizmo. And I'll say a gizmo is an umbrella. So she's made up all of these names. I've got gadgets and gizmos. And so when you say gadgets, you think of the clock. And then when you say gizmo, you actually see it in your mind's eye. And just like controlling a daydream, you visualize all of this interior world of the character. So how would you be able to stare at an X when you're doing all of this amazing imagery work in your mind? That's what we should be teaching, and that's what we should be doing when we're performing. That's one layer of the visualization, though, that detailing the actual scenario, or very much detailing in your mind the person that you're communicating to. You know, if the song has to do with you communicating or singing to a person, an actual person that would be on stage with you, but isn't there in the audition, you've got to detail them, you know. And what's really cool about that is if it's a romantic song, then you can make them whoever you want. And you don't have to tell anybody who you're visualizing. Shh. That's the power of it, because you are trying to trigger real emotional reactions inside of you by the things that you think, the things that you feel, okay, and that you experience as the character. You're trying to create real emotional reactions as the character, okay? So one way we do that is we understand very deeply the physical world that the character's in, and then we have to get into the internal mind of the character. Because if you think about when you're talking to someone, you're not physically, like my eyes are kind of looking around as I'm talking right now, but I'm inside of my processor. I'm not looking at, oh, there's my speaker. Oh, there's my cajon. Look at floor. Look at mirror. That's not going on in my head when my eyes are dancing around. Ideas are in my head, which are moving my eyes all over my, whatever the brain cortex stuff is going on that's causing my eyes to do that. That's what happens in real life when we're communicating, either to ourselves. If we're walking down the street like saying, oh man, Tim, you got to get it together. What have you been up to lately? You know, oh, you know, my eyes will naturally, if I'm having an inner monologue, which a lot of these songs are, so you're like, well, what do I do if I'm not talking to somebody? Well, your eyes are still going to be moving around because you will be defining things in your mind. You'll be defining things in your mind as you refer to them, as you mention them. If you think about a busy day, you may subconsciously look to your school. You know, if you're thinking about going to bed, you may kind of lean upstairs. It's like you're going to interact with the things you say with your eyes in ways you don't even need to be aware of. What you need to think about, though, is what you're thinking about. You need to get deep inside of yourself as the character. And that's taking and really deconstructing your text and really getting inside of like, what's my character saying here? You know, like when Belle says, but I don't deserve to lose my freedom in this way. She's thinking to herself in that moment, but I don't deserve to lose my freedom in this way. And she says, you monster. And what I always say in that moment is she's pointing at the door that he just left, the beast just left at, and she says, you. And then she looks down and she tries to think of the worst swear word that she's willing to say. And she goes, you. And she thinks of them all real fast, and then she goes, monster. And for a Disney princess, by the way, monster, that's like dropping a four-letter, that's like dropping a four-letter word for a Disney princess. She calls him a monster, I mean, come on. Belle is, the assertive princess, right? So anyway, okay, so the idea is this. Don't stare at the X. That's stupid, okay? I'm sorry. What you need to do is visualize deeply, deeply what the character is visualizing, all right? And let me tell you, this is the magic of it all right? When you do this work, this highly detailed visualization work as you're performing, it protects you from your audition nerves. It protects you from fear of an audience. And it turns your pre-show jitters into excitement because you'll really start to trust that. When you get on stage and you're fully centered and you deepen into what you're talking about and what your character is feeling, you lose a sense of yourself, you lose a sense of time. It's a really incredible feeling. You'll go on stage and then you'll walk off and be like, and you're back to yourself like, whoa, I don't even know that. I feel like I just went on stage and came right off. It'll feel like time flies. You're so engaged. Your brain is so involved that it is truly in your mind as if you believe you are that other person, And that's the game we're trying to play. That's what we're tricking ourselves into doing in our performing. So there's no way when you have all of this detailed work of what the character is visualizing, the visual world of the character, what the visualization of what the character is talking about. Ariel, in part of your world, Little Mermaid, she's visualizing, I want to be up there, like she's talking about visualizing them walking around and the mystery and excitement of, like I can see it right now. I can see the light coming through the water, and I can imagine what she's imagining about what it must be like up there with the land and walking and excitement and horse carriages and all of the things that make up her cove. I can see that in my mind's eye, And Prince Eric, right? So come on, that's the stuff we're seeing in our mind's eye when we're auditioning. It's not staring at the X, okay? Have a great day.